Hi, welcome to in this video. Here I'm going to talk about executors and the cluster managers in Apache Spark. Basically, I would say that executors runs the task that makes up a Spark job. Lifestyle management managed by the cluster manager. Cluster manager basically in the local mode, standalone mode, Mesos, right? Yarn. So these are the cluster managers. Local mode, basically single executor runs in the same JVM, Java Virtual Machine as a driver and useful for testing for small jobs. And the master URL like local and local or standalone mode like simple distributed implementation with a single Spark master and multiple workers. Operations, the master asks the workers to spawn spawn executors processes master URL like Spark host port and Mesos means general purpose clusters resource manager and find grained each Spark task as a Mesos task and the course grained executors run task in the process. Fine-grained mode uses resource more efficient but has more overhead. Mesos host port. Hmm? So remember these things, okay? And like column, Mesos column, backslash host column port. This is defining the root and something you can say their URL, right? Go through that. Yarn basically resource manager used in Hadoop, and each Spark application is a Yarn application with the executors running a Yarn containers. They are resource like URL like Yarn client or Yarn cluster. There are only two you have to study here, like client and cluster mode. Comparison of cluster managers like Mesos and Yarn. Advantages like superior to standalone as they consider the resource need of other application and enforce scheduling policies. Yarn is specific integrated with the Hadoop's Kerberos security mechanism. Standalone, there is a limitation, static resource allocation and cannot adapt varying application needs over time. Spark and Yarn. Now we are going to learn Spark and Yarn. Yet another resource negotiator with Spark. Spark running on Yarn. So integration running Spark on Yarn provides the tight integration with the other Hadoop components, making it the convenient for the existing Hadoop clusters. Deploying mode like Spark offers two deploying mode like Yarn client mode and Yarn cluster mode. This we have to learn. These two topics are super important topic which you have to learn. And with the diagram, I will explain everything in that. Okay, we will come to another references also. If you want, you may just let me know. I will provide the detailed explanation of this also. Here I will just explain in short, right? The drivers run in the client when you are talking about Yarn client mode and when you are talking about cluster mode. The drivers run on the cluster in the Yarn application master. Yarn client mode use cases like required for the interactive programs, example, Spark Shell, PySpark, and useful for building and debugging Spark program with the immediate output visibility process. First, you will initialize the Spark context, and in that interaction with the Yarn starts when new Spark context instances is created by the driver program application submission. Next, you will submit the application, the context submit Yarn application to the Yarn resource manager. You know the Yarn having two, you can say the way to do the process the task cluster resources through the resource manager and node manager. Executor launches a Yarn container is started on the node manager running. As I said, application will accepted by the resource manager at resource node, but the The executor launch only under container through the node manager. Keep in mind, and there is only heartbeat is always this node manager is sending the signal to resource manager whether the what is running, and based on that only you are getting the what you can say. If any failure is there, you are getting the replica also. Like a Spark executor launches the application master resource request, the executor launches the request resource from the resource manager, and this executor backend launch the executor backend process are launched to container allocated. So now here we will talk about the cluster mode. So in that the suitable for production job, as you have seen here, driver runs the cluster in the yarn. So the entire application runs on the cluster, making it easier to retain log files for later inspection. Fault tolerance yarn retrieve the applications if the application master file. I said here it is this is sending the always updates feedback, let's say. So a Spark program create context at the client JVM driver at client mode. A Spark context receive this particular request and will submit the application to resource manager node, and then the container start through node manager. This launches to executor manager, application manager, and node manager node. This will continue sending, and so that the replica will generate. And then no, in the executor part here, scheduling part here, executor part in that start container node manager, and then launch to executor JV and executor backend node manager node. This is how the Spark executor are started in the on client mode. This picture actually defines the client. So Spark executor configuration in Yarn, the executor registration, like process, executor starts to connect with the Spark context and register itself. Purpose this registration provide the Spark context with the information about the number of available executors at their location, adding the in task placement decision. Configuring executor like a number of executor default to 2 if not set, a number of cores per executor default to 1. Here you default to like 12041 GB, you can say, like and example configuration percentage partial master add client, remember ERL and executor for code 1, and this is what we are talking about the configuring executors and executors memory too. So Yarn resource manager address, the Yarn resource manager address is not specified in the master URL configuration. It is picked up from the Hadoop configuration directory specified by the Hadoop conf and dir environment variable. Now here I'm talking about the cluster mode in Yarn. Up was, sorry, it was the client mode. Now I'm talking about the cluster mode. Here is how Spark executors are started in the cluster modes. Okay, sorry here. Just a small change, cluster client mode. The same thing, driver program. In Yarn cluster mode, the user's driver program runs within the application, Yarn application master process. The Spark submit command is used with the master URL set to Yarn cluster. Spark submit to Spark client, create and same client JVM driver and client node and the submit application to resource manager. The node manager start the container and launches the Spark application manager, Spark program, node manager node. This will always sending this allocate resources, and then container is started executor part, and the node manager launches the executor JVM, executor backend in node manager node, and this is how Yarn cluster mode is started Spark execution. And the command example like for percentage Spark submit master Yarn cluster parameters like other parameters like num executors and the application jar or Python file are the same as the Yarn client mode. So what we have studied in the client mode sim here. Only here the difference is you are in cluster mode, the user driver run the program. So keep in mind data locality in the modes. So this is another topic, data locality challenges like initial executor launch executors are launched before data locality information is available, potentially leading to non-optimal placement interactive sessions. This may be acceptable as the data sets to be accessed might not be known before and production job less acceptable due to the need for efficient data access. So improving data locality in Yarn cluster mode like placement hint like Spark provides a way to give the placement hints to improve the data locality. Preferred location like Spark context constructor can take the second argument of a preferred location computed using the input file format info helper class. Example like zooming it, it will be visible. Uh, well, preferred location, input format info dot compute preferred location, sequence new input format info, new configuration class of text input format input path, right? And well, I see a new Spark contest. So it's object for that and configuration and the preferred location. Now I'm the this particular code is utilized as a preferred location are used by the application master when making application request to resource manager. So in this particular video, it is the extension of a previous video only. So go through this and we'll complete the complete topic related to Apache. I'm stopping here. Thanks for watching.